Okay. Uh, I
Hello everyone, welcome to the event today organized at Ahmedabad University by the IEEE sub branch. The event today that is organized is on use of computer vision for COVID-19 detection. The main goal and the main aim for organizing this event is that to understand how artificial intelligence can be used in the medical domain, especially in detection of COVID-19. Over the past years, the use of this algorithms of artificial intelligence have gained a lot of interest when it comes to their use in the medical domain, from detection to analyzing, and in many ways as an assistant to the doctors. So, starting without any further delay, starting with today's event, this today's event is the phase one of this organizing. So in the phase one of this event, we'll be only focusing on how, or basic introduction on how artificial intelligence can be used. So without any further ado, uh, starting the phase one of this event, just one more thing I'll let you know is that after today's event, a phase two would be organized by the organizers, and over there further more hands-on implementation and going over more in-depth detail would be taking place. So starting with the workshop, I'd like to hand it over to Kavya, and who will explain us in the idea of using artificial intelligence in detection of COVID-19. I hand it over to you, Kavya.
Thank you, Kranali. I'll start the presentation now. Hello, everyone. I'm Kavya, and today the workshop that we have organized is to understand the use of computer vision for COVID 19 detection. Today we'll only be covering the first 3 points, that is, introduction to AI, introduction to neural networks, and convolution neural networks. So, when I say artificial intelligence, and I'm sure you have come across this word a lot of times in your life so far, what comes to your mind? Anyone can participate and just tell me what comes to your mind when you hear the word artificial intelligence, or what does artificial intelligence mean to you?
Artificial intelligence means giving a computer some knowledge or pre-owned data for processing.
Okay, then. Thank you. Anyone else, if you can just unmute yourself and tell me what your views on artificial, uh, what is the meaning of artificial intelligence to you?
For me, Kavya, artificial intelligence means that it's a software that can like notice my patterns and assist me further by observing my pattern.
Right. So both the definitions or both the meanings that given by Tirth and Shaunak are correct. So when we talk of artificial intelligence, we are broadly talking of these four fields. When we either think of artificial intelligence in the sense that we want our machines to think like humans, or we want it to mimic us, so act like us, or we want it to think rationally with the use of logic and some algorithms, or we want it to act rationally, for example, like playing chess or something. That is what we mean when we say artificial intelligence. It's a broad term, and it encompasses these four paradigms. Now, uh, let's talk about AI versus machine learning versus deep learning. These terms are used a lot and sometimes interchangeably, and that leads to some confusion on the user's end. So we have used this meme to depict the difference between AI, ML, and DL. Technically, artificial intelligence is the superset. Then machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence, and deep learning is a subset of machine learning. So when we talk of artificial intelligence, it's a whole field that deals with us trying to make machines that act or think like us. And while machine learning just aids in the process of making machines learn. Now, there are many different algorithms and types of machine learning, like supervised, unsupervised, and different algorithms like linear regression and all that. And one such part of learning is deep learning. It's a technique where you make machines learn. So that's what deep learning is about. So I hope this picture clears up the difference of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning to you. Now let's look at some of the potential of AI solutions. So what can artificial intelligence solution do for us? As you can see on screen, we are now in the era where we actually have autonomous vehicles in like Tesla. You might have heard of it, and we are developing in this field and we are progressing. And it has its a lot of pros like reduced accidents and like this will reduce accidents a lot. Then we use artificial intelligence solutions for space exploration. uh, then we have a lot of uses of artificial intelligence for healthcare. As you can see in the picture, your artificial intelligence algorithm can do a lot of analysis. Although we are not at this stage yet, but we do have this potential that that artificial intelligence can do all sorts of analysis on our body for us just by a scan. And this is one of the most interesting solutions for our generation, where we use artificial intelligence for fun. I'm sure many of you use Snapchats and other social networking sites where you have these filters that predicts at this age what will you look like, or if you are a male and if you were a female, then how you would look like, and then many other filters. And then you see this videos of non-living people doing something like portrait of Mona Lisa, which is talking, and all this is done with the use of GANs, that is generative adversarial networks. And it is fun, like people just do a lot of things with it and we make it fun. But with great power comes great responsibility. Although we can use it for fun, there are people who could also not use it for fun. So we need to tread carefully on this piece of technology. Now, let's go to introduction to neural networks. So, what is a neural network? What When someone says a neural network, so what you need to know about neural network is it is an attempt of engineers to mimic how brain functions, not like exactly, but it is a network of nodes and it is made up of a single neuron, and it will look something like this picture on this side, and it is trying to map how our brain works. So let's understand a single neuron structure first, and then let's extrapolate that idea and understand a simple neural network. So when we are talking about a single neuron structure, we are simply talking about a function. So you see on this right hand side is the implementation of the single neuron. What it does is it takes some inputs and it applies some function on it and gives us an output. So we have an input x1, x2, xn. Like let's say there are three inputs x1, x2, x3. We have weight associated with it w1, w2, w3. So we'll just multiply w1, x1, w2, x2, w3, x3, add it, add the bias term, and apply a function on it, and the output, what we get is the output. That's what a single neuron does in a neural network. And this is the corresponding code to it. So what we give to a single neuron is the weights, the bias, and the input, the actual input, x1 to x2. And these are the array sizes. And what you do, and what np dot does is it takes the weights and it takes inputs and it multiplies them and it adds them, like it does w1 x1 plus w2 x2 plus wn xn. So this term basically. Then we add bias term to it, and this sigmoid is what we call an activation function in technical terms. And there can be many other activation functions. So basically, what this sigmoid or any other function does is it just is a mapping. So it will convert your input to some other output. We would probably want it between 0 to 1. So we are just mapping it. So that's what the whole idea of activation function is. Okay. And from this, we build a simple neural network. So as we saw, we have an input layer. Then we have another layer, and then we have the output. Now, this is a very simple structure. In practice, we have quite complex neural networks with thousands or like hundreds of layers and hundreds of neurons in each layer. And so this is what a most simple neural network would look like. So we have inputs, and this each single neuron will do the function that we just saw in the previous slide. And then all these outputs of the input layer will act as an input to the hidden layer. So that is also going to work in the same way as a single neuron will work. So we, in this case, we are just like adding up the neurons, like output of all the neurons, and we are getting an output. So if we want to create such a structure using code, we have this code. This bit of code will just make this kind of a structure. Like dense means fully connected layers. Like all the inputs are connected to all the hidden layer neurons. So that is what dense does. This 64 tells you how many neurons are there in that particular layer. And activation ReLU tells you what kind of activation function you want to be there on your neuron. Okay. Then when we are talking about this neuron in single neuron, what we did not talk about is the idea of uh, learning. So I said that deep learning is a method of learning for machines. So what exactly is it learning, and what are we using neural networks for? So the most simple example is classification. Let's say I'm giving an image to this neural network, and the output is 0 or 1. 0 tells me that this image is of a cat, and 1 tells me that this image is not of a cat. So I give input, and I'll give image as an input, and my output will be whether it's a cat or it's not a cat. So it requires a lot of data, first of all, because this neural network will understand the features and everything by itself. There is nothing that you have to do. It all the neurons and the hidden layers work by itself to take the features. And the architecture is different. It's not this simple. It's way different. But just this is just an idea of what neural network does. So when you give it the first image, it doesn't know if whether it's a cat or not. It is randomly, like based on what weights we have. It is going to give you one number, 0 or 1. So that may be right, that may not be right. There is a 50-50 chance. So what you give to it is the correct answer. So your machine tells you this is a cat, but it's not a cat. So you tell your machine this is not a cat. So there is a step called propagation. What happens in back propagation is all these network neurons are given a feedback whether your answer is correct or not. So there is some like loss associated with it. And based on the feedback, the neurons, like all the weights of the branches gets updated. And as you give more images to it, it will learn more, and the backward propagation will set the weights correctly. And that's how your neural network will learn. And after looking at a lot of images, it will be able to tell you with a good accuracy whether the image that you give it is a cat or a dog. Now this is quite different from humans, because for humans, if someone shows us a picture of cat, we can, and shows us a picture of another cat, then we can tell that yeah, it's a cat. But for machines, it's not that easy. It has to see a lot of images, thousands of images, to figure out, okay, this is a cat, this is what makes something a cat. Okay. So when we do model.compile, we give it like what kind of loss function do we want, and what kind of backward propagation method do we want. And model.fit just gives your model with a lot of images and the answers, and it just performs training on it based on your model declaration and your backward and loss. So are there any doubts in this? Feel free to ask questions.
No doubts.
Okay, so we'll go forward, and now we'll look at the convolutional neural networks. So what is a convolutional neural network, first of all? So it's just a deep learning architecture, like we just saw a simple neural network. Now it's just a neural network, but the architecture is different. What do we mean by architecture? It means that the number of layers and the number of neurons in each layer and what kind of activation function it has is different. So it's just a deep learning architecture. And it is specially used for performing any operations or anything related to images. So that's what we use convolutional neural networks for. Now, if you see this timeline tells you like when was the first convolutional neural network proposed, and how the convolutional neural networks have progressed through time. So this timeline is for that. So you see that the it's not a new concept, because the first convolutional neural network was proposed in 1998, and the next and the next design was in 2012. There is almost 14 years of gap in between. And then you see that since 2012, a lot of designs and a lot of successful designs have been proposed. So what changed? Like why is convolutional neural network so famous and so much in use now? And why did it not work that well in 1998? So two things have changed. When the idea was first proposed, we did not have the computation so much computational capacity that we have right now. So that is one thing that helps the convolutional neural networks, because we have uh, a fair amount of computational computational capacity now. And second thing, we have a large amount of data now for our convolutional neural networks to learn and perform well. The data was not so much back in 1998, so the accuracy and the performance of the convolutional neural networks was not so good. But because of these two reasons, the convolutional neural networks are very much in use and popular in today's time. And you can see there are about 9 or 10 architectures of different convolutional neural networks. So now let's look at the visualization of what convolutional neural network does. So this visualization will help you visualize how the neural network works. There is no sound in the video, so don't worry if you don't hear anything. Okay, so if you look at this, you will see that there is on each of this, there are different features of letter A that are being like that are being like, see, if you see over here, this is the top part of A, this is the below part of A. So what convolutional neural network is trying to do is, it is trying to learn different patterns that is present in the letter A. This is what this visualization is trying to tell you. Like if you have this kind of a V edge, like A has this kind of a V edge at the top, and it has a horizontal line. So these are just some features that it is trying to learn. Okay, so this idea will become a lot clear to you once we go through the architecture of it, and once we understand the intuition behind it. But I just showed this video to you before, so while we are walking through it with this visualization, it will help you to see what it actually is doing. So this is the architecture of your convolutional neural networks. So this is an input image, and then you have something called convolutional layer, then you have something called pooling layer, and you have multiple convolution and pooling layers. And at the end, you have a fully connected layer, and then you have the output. So we'll go through the detail of what convolution layer is, what pooling layer is, and what a fully connected layer is. But let's look at the intuition behind it, and we'll come back to intuition once again later on. So there is two parts to convolution neural network. One is feature extraction and the another is classification. So if I'm giving it any image, you want your convolution neural network to first extract the features. Your convolution neural networks will extract the features by itself. So it will tell you if in a picture of car what are the features that it will identify by itself that what are the features in a picture of car. And the second part is it has to classify that this is a car, this is not a car. So feature extraction part is done by convolution layers and pooling layers, and the classification part is done by the later part that you see, the fully connected layer and the softmax part. Okay, so let's look at convolution layers. So when we are talking about features, your computer is just going to understand numbers, nothing else. So your image is just a matrix represent, like your image is going to be represented by a matrix of numbers. So let's say this is your input matrix, and this is when we talk about convolution layer, what we are doing is we are basically applying a filter on the image. So some of you who have computer science background and and have gone through some of the courses, so you like DSP, so you know that what a filter, when we apply a filter to an image, what we sometimes do is edge detection, or we sometimes blur the image, or we sometimes sharpen the image, or we do different things with the image. So that is what the use of convolution is. You are extracting some of the features by convolution. So you apply a filter over the image. So this is called filter or kernel, and this is your input. In real, like when you're talking about images, it is not going to be a 2D matrix, it is going to be a 3D matrix. And we'll do visualization with it after this, but let's understand this concept with a 2D matrix first. So what happens in convolution? So as you see in this GIF, you are going to multiply your kernel with the elements of your input, and you're just going to add them up. So like for example, this one, can you see my mouse pointer?
Yes.
Okay. So this one of the filter is going to get multiplied by this one. This second element will be multiplied by second element, and so on. So you'll have individual outputs. So like 1 into 1 will be 1, 1 into 0 will be 0, and so on. For all these 9 elements, when you multiply the 9 elements over here, and then you add these 9 elements and write the number over here. So that is what your convolution layers will do. It will multiply, add it, and write it. So, and this is how the feature will be extracted. And in 3D case, like in 3D, you have RGB values. So your matrix will be like you'll have 3D matrix, and this kernel will also be 3D, and it will be applied over all the 3 layers, and then you'll get a value. So this is how it is going to be done. And we are not only going to have one convolution, like one filter, because we want different features. So we'll have different filters with it. So what you are seeing right now is a result of only one filter application. Let's say you have 10 such filters. So you'll just stack all the outputs in one output, like of all the filters. So that is how in actual convolution neural network the application will be. Now remember where I said that you'll simply be adding them and writing the number over here, as you can see in the GIF. But in real life, we want to add non-linearity to the data, like to our output, because it's not a linear world. So there has to be some non-linearity. So how do we add this non-linearity? We add this non-linearity by passing the output through activation function. And we just saw how activation function works. So we won't be exactly storing the values like this. This 4 will like be passed on to an activation function that will give me some value that I'll be storing over here. Then comes the pooling layers. What the use of pooling layer is to reduce the size, the dimension of the data. So what we do in this case is we'll take these 4 for this particular example, we take this quadrant and we take out the highest number, because we are applying max pooling with 2 cross 2 window and stride 2. Now let me tell you, 2 cross 2 window is pretty apparent to you, but what does stride mean? Stride means that if you see over here, the kernel is shifting by a one amount. Okay, so like it is first 1 2 3, then 2 3 4, and then 3 4 5. So this is just a second. uh, okay, I cannot draw on the screen right now, but this is your row 1, sorry, this is your column 1, this is your column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5. So first the kernel is being applied to column 1 2 3, then 2 3 4, and 3 4 5. So it is shifting by one amount, that is called stride. If it was shifting by amount of 2, then the stride would be 2, which you can see in the max pooling layer. The first window is this. Then the second window is not column 2 and 3, it is 3 and 4. So we have stride of 2. So that's what stride means. This is how pooling layers work. And now let's go back to intuition once again. With the understanding of convolution and pooling, let's try to understand convolution neural networks once again. So like I said before, we have two components: feature extraction, which is done by convolution plus pooling layers, and classification, which is done by the fully connected layers at the end. So this convolution and pooling layer will extract the complex features. Let's say the first convolution and pooling detected the edges. Then it grouped the edges to say that this is forming eyes. Eyes as in, like if you're talking about cat's picture, then it is forming eyes. This kind of features are forming eyes, and this kind of features are forming nose, and so on. The convolution and pooling layers are just going to extract the features. Now, when I say it is forming eyes or it is forming nose, your convolution neural network does not know what a nose is. It will just look at these thousands of images and take out a pattern. For it, it is just going to be a pattern or a number that has similar patterns. So a nose is going to have a same kind of matrix representation. So it is just going to understand, the network is just going to understand the pattern, and it will take that pattern as a feature. But for us, what does that pattern represent? A nose probably, or two eyes, or a set of like mouth, and so on. So that is what convolution and pooling layers will do. And then the fully connected layers will put all these features together in perspective and tell you that, okay, if we have two eyes, a nose, like, and something like this, then this is a cat. If you do, and other distinctive features of cat as well, like whiskers or and so on. So that putting together of features and presence of features in the image is done by the classification, the fully connected layer. That is the classification part. Okay, so this was the intuition behind the convolutional neural networks. So if you have any doubt so far, feel free to ask questions. Okay, so for today's session, we'll be just doing this much. And the next hands-on part, where you'll be building a VGG16 model, and you'll be also exploring the concepts of transfer learning and explainable AI, will be the phase 2 and will be coordinated with you. So I would now like to hand over to Tirt for closing of the session. Thank you.
Krinali?